Yo, it's the Direct Response Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Ketchum, founder of Campaign Refinery, joined today with David Cartolano from Wealthy Inbox. Hey, man.
What's up, Travis?
So we're talking about something that gets actually a fair number of questions. There's a huge amount of players in the field, and so that often leads to confusion and indecision, and that is sales funnel software. Now, what do I mean by a sales funnel? Let's just kind of get that out of the way. When I say sales funnel, what do you think of, David?
I think of a bunch of web pages that lead people to do something.
Great synopsis. Love it. Brevity is king, my friend. So, yes, we're essentially talking about funnel software, or, there's a bunch of different terms that it's had over the course of the years. If you've been in marketing for a long time, like I'm sure they have some wing-ding special brand name they're trying to tell you that makes it different. At the end of the day, David is right. It is basically a curated experience that you want people to go through in a fairly linear fashion, where they experience one page and then the next and then the next. And their actions in each page may dictate the next page they see in the series. But the ultimate goal is to first convert a prospect to a customer and then increase that customer value through a series of specific offers that are great additions, grades, downgrades, extra training, whatever, that make their total solution more complete than it was when they started with you.
Yep.
Is that a fair assessment?
IKEA. Yeah.
It's
pretty much that.
Make your way through the rat maze. You pick up more and more things. Oh, well, I got the table. Now let's get to the plates and the silverware.
Exactly.
Makes perfect sense. David, I know that you've used a few different platforms. I've used quite a few platforms. Our customers use way more than I use because they integrate with a bunch of different things. So let's maybe just sort of run through some of the ones we know that are popular. Then we can run through some that we personally like. And then we can lead people through sort of a decision matrix guide on what elements am I looking for to then select a platform that I like and why I like it. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hit some.
Cool. So I would say on the most popular side of things, now this is not an endorsement, and any order I give you is not any sort of preferential order either. Some of the more popular ones that you may have heard of are things like ClickFunnels, Go High Level, Lead Pages, right? These are all pretty popular ones. Those three in particular are what's called, SaaS or cloud hosted ones, where you don't have to have WordPress installed or some other third-party mechanism. You go sign up for the service, you give them your credit card, you start using their UI, you hit publish, and they provide content that they host, right? That's the most direct way. And then on the other side of things, you have more of the curated, which is usually built on top of something like WordPress. Now, there is things like Webflow and all these other technologies, but the most common one, if you're going to start tinkering and getting nerdy, is going to be WordPress. And so that means you usually have to have a hosting provider, and then you have to have WordPress installed on top of that. And then on top of WordPress, you then install your sales funnel software. So that could be something like OptimizePress, Thrive Themes. There's a whole bunch of these WordPress-based ones. And essentially, they are augmenting the feature set of WordPress to be a little bit more dedicated towards building this sort of, as we described, a curated flow, A to B to C to D.
Right.
Which ones come to mind for you, David?
For me, I know my favorite one is ClickFunnels. I knew the founder. He actually exited, but I knew the founder and still do. He's still a really cool guy. Born from like another popular funnel building software. I think ClickFunnels does a stellar job for as long as I've had them. I know I'm more of a simple funnel guy. I'm kind of okay with just a checkout page. And if there are upsells and downsells, cool. Those are usually not the business models that I've worked with in the past. So for me, I'm like, spiffy, a great checkout cart. I'm sure Shopify has its own stuff, but I'm not even going to try and dip my toe into e-com because that's just not an industry that I've approached yet. But yeah, that's really it. I could say WordPress, I do want to say I have built a lot of funnels and a lot of different softwares. I wasn't an email guy to start out with. So, I've worked with all of the softwares that you mentioned in the beginning. I've worked with all of them. But I would say that ClickFunnels is definitely a favorite.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I think the point to drive home here is you can make almost any of these work for your needs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really
it's
important
takeaway. It's
a
black
takeaway.
Suit. You can wear it to a funeral. You could wear it to a wedding. You can wear it to a fancy dinner. A lot of these softwares that you see that are like, oh, we can do anything, they actually can. Some of them, it's just easier than others.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hit some of my favorites, and then we can talk about some bespoke use cases where you might want to pick a certain platform or feature, and then we can go through the decision matrix. So the two that I often recommend to people the most is one is Convertory, and both these I'm about to mention, I do happen to know the founders. That do both happen to be UK based, but they're really smart guys making really interesting software. So take that for what you will. So the first one is, like I said, called Convertory. That is a hosted solution, so you don't need your own hosting. You don't need WordPress. You don't need that kind of stuff. It is a SaaS deal. And one thing that makes them really great is their speed, because page load speed is a thing. And I think on a lot of these tools, that is one of the X factors that isn't really well defined or highlighted about the difference. Like, they may all focus on what their forms look like, or can they build a certain kind of button or tables, or what image support do they have, right? And all of that is great, and it might meet your needs. But two pages that look identical, if one of them loads twice as fast, it will convert better.
Period.
That is fact. And so one of the things I love about Convertory is that out of the box, it has really high performance for page load speeds. Okay. Now, I do find it a little bit harder to work with because it's so free form. It makes it a little bit slower for me personally to build pages. But once it is built, the speed at which the page loads is nearly unbeatable for people of any technical level. So I think that's a really important takeaway.
Yeah.
The second one that I really like is called OptimizePress. And anyone's been in the industry a long time, like, OptimizePress, are they still alive? Yes, they are still alive. They actually have really evolved their product over the years. And in fact, if you check out Campaign Refinery's website, a lot of our pages are built in OptimizePress. This sits on top of WordPress. It does require more effort and attention to detail for page load speeds in terms of having a really good hosting provider and then optimizing CDNs and other things. But the point is, you can do it. And then once you are there, the interface for building it, I really like. It has a bunch of extra features that we don't need or use, but if you're looking to build, a little bit more of an e-com checkout solution or a membership area, you can do that with their software. We don't choose to do that. But in terms of, I want to make a really nice looking page, I want to curate an experience, I want to fulfill lead magnets, I want to add countdown timers, I want to do direct response type things with a WordPress site, it's usually our platform of choice. Now, David, I know that before we started recording, you said that there are some things that, depending on your use case, even though they may not be the most robust solution in terms of multivariant or different applications, if you have a specific use case, there are some builders that might make sense just because they get you from A to B so quickly. Can you mention, one or more of those?
Yeah. And it goes on a principle of like, hey, how easy is this for me to use at the end of the day? And not from like how to build it. I mean, no, just integrating it into your systems. Like, some of you do not need, well, I'm going to say this, pretty much all of you do not need a super complicated sales funnel with 7 different upsells and all that nonsense. You just don't. You just don't. And sometimes at the end of the day, I know for me, when I'm building a newsletter, the front page of the lead magnet page, I guess, or the squeeze page, or the opt-in page, whatever you want to call it, that page for me, like, it's blank, couple of words, title, button, enter email, that's it. It doesn't need to be more than that for my use case. So for that, I'm not even going to try and use, drop funnels or any other funnel software. I'm just going to use Beehive. I have mixed opinions on Beehive, but they have an incredible, their email sign-up form is just so intuitive. It's so simple. It's something you can run traffic to, and I think it's brilliant. It's got the load speeds that I want. It hooks up to the other software and the sign-up flow that I have set up. So the principle is like, yeah, if everything works, but some things work a lot better than other things, even though the other things work. So if you have a Shopify store, do you really need to invest in a very costly and time-intensive funnel software and pull on those levers if they're not going to make that much of a difference in your business? I mean, I don't know. If you're doing $10K a month in Shopify, will the type of funnel software you use really change much? much probably not. If you're doing 100K or 1 million a month, yeah, then maybe that's something to take a look at. But
Yeah, I think the big takeaway for me on these specialty tools is speed of execution. And that is more important in the early stages. So if you are just getting going on a newsletter, for example, like even though I know in a lot of ways BI could be considered a competitor to Campaign Refinery, but I have no problem giving a platform flowers when it deserves it for its stage. If you're just getting started, Beehive is not a bad solution. If you are scaling and deliverability is like the key thing, then maybe you pair us with a dedicated page builder and you give up a little bit of that speed of execution, but you get to squeeze more performance out of the top end, right? So depending on where you are in the arc of your business, I think that it does make sense to use one platform over another. That is fine. Like, I don't have any problem with that. People can graduate, right? It's like the car that I had when I was 16 and the car that I have now when I'm not 16, I'll just say that, are very different, right? Because my needs are different, my skill is different, my demands are different, my preferences are different, and that's okay, right? And so that's just something to respect in the process.
Yeah. And I wouldn't get drawn into by like, oh, well, this sales funnel has these 36 features. You're only going to use about 4 of them or 5 of them. A lot of CRMs, like, you're not going to use every single feature. You're probably going to use pretty much none of the features except for 3. So when you're looking at different sales funnel softwares, ask yourself, like, hey, what am I actually using this for? What is the point of this? And you might say, like, yeah, maybe using Beehive is awesome for email, but as I grow and I really need an email provider that is specially suited for deliverability, yeah, I can use Campaign Refinery and then still use Beehive's funnel software. But Beehive's an email platform. Well, you can use things the way you want to use them. Like, there are no rules. There are no rules to any of this. So a funnel software could be something that you use that isn't actually advertised as a funnel software, right? So there's so many other ways of slicing this tomato to get a different taste. So
yeah, so okay, I want to run down a quick decision matrix, just so like, all right, you guys mentioned a bunch of different, funnel softwares. I'm gonna check out, got them on the to-do list. Great. I've defined, I think, what I want or what I'm trying to accomplish. Now, when I'm evaluating landing page or funnel softwares, here's essentially what I encourage people to look at, and I look at for myself. You have to look at, does it do the core functions, those 3 or 4 things that you just mentioned that I must have, right? So for me, can it make beautiful forms? Does it have countdown timer type functionality, right? Both hard dates, evergreen dates, session dates, that kind of thing. Does it have great support for modern image standards? Because that's going to matter for load times. And then what does it take to make it super damn fast and look good on mobile? That's essentially my hit list, right? And those last 2 are underrated, because there's a lot of ones that can look great, but they don't load fast. They load fast. They don't look great on mobile because they aren't as responsive. They don't scale as nicely, right? Because I'm not just talking about, like, does it collapse, but like, can I make a bit of a bespoke experience? Can I maybe hide elements on mobile but show them on desktop, for example? For me, that's important, because you take that simplification factor, and I actually start deleting things from mobile. I can delete entire sections of a sales page. I can delete images. I can say, hide this one, under a certain size, because I can focus the conversation on mobile. So for me, that is an important feature that not every platform can do. So when I'm making that evaluation, it is one of the key things that I look at: speed, forms, all those kind of things. So if you're evaluating it, understand your needs. Like I said, if it's specifically a newsletter sign-up form, flow, like maybe Beehive. But if it's, hey, I just need a quick hit, show them a lead magnet opt-in page and show them a lead magnet fulfillment page, maybe it's Convertory. If I need some more split testing on upsell, downsell flows, maybe it's Optimized Press and we're on WordPress, right? Like, decide what your needs are, then decide, is it fast? Does it fit it? Is it affordable? Does it look good? All those kind of things. That's kind of secondary, in my opinion.
Totally.
So,
totally. I'd rather ugly and fast than pretty and slow. I would. And I think one small thing then to tack on to the list is, does this software actually fit well / integrate with my current stack? And look, it doesn't take much to write a webhook or an API nowadays with ChatGPT, And Zapier and Make and there are other custom solutions out there can pretty much connect anything to anything. But if you're working with a standalone software that you got on the lifetime deal on a seedy website, it's probably not going to help you out.
Yeah, well, it might work today, but 6, 8, 12, 24 months from now, it may no longer exist.
6, 8, 12 minutes, you're going to realize you made a bad decision. Get a refund.
Well, if it's minutes, you're good. You're inside the 60 days or whatever. But yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I think we've waxed poetic about this enough. Again, understand what your specific needs actually are, not what looks nice, not what's shiny, not what would be cool if it existed or if I had it as a collector's item. You know, we're not collecting Pokemon here. We're making a damn sales page. And then once you've narrowed down people that can even meet that criteria, then run through the matrix of, you know, is it fast? Is it affordable? Is it pretty? Does it do the specific things that I need in my business that make me an effective marketer? And then once you find that list, then just preference. Who do you want to give your money to? Who do you want to work with? Who integrates well? Boom. There's your answer. So if you want to learn more about, you know, what's popular and what's good, check out the blog post down below. If you want to integrate an email service provider with any of these, check out Campaign Refinery. We have native integrations with ones I mentioned as my favorites. We have Zapier support, so that opens up the Pandora's box for a whole bunch of other ones. And of course, there's webhooks. And if you are looking to get these leads from your sales funnel into your newsletter and grow and scale that newsletter to actually be profitable, David German over at wealthyinbox.news. Is that right?
That is. We don't talk about sales funnels, so I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, but you know, it is an important piece. Like it will be an important component of the metrics behind your newsletter and whatever else about how you're acquiring your leads and scaling your business though, right? Cool.
That's a good
one. All right. Well, till next time, I'm your host, Travis and David, and we'll talk to you soon.